All right, you can turn him down, big dog, Dylan. Welcome. Happy Friday. It is Tusk Talk Fridays. My most exciting day of the week. When you're in crypto this long, shit just starts melting together, but I always know when a Friday is. So welcome everybody. Hope everybody is having a good weekend. If you didn't know, Top Gun is enjoying the Florida beaches.
Looking at it right now.
Looking at it right now, doing an Ask Me Anything.
Fucking beautiful.
Yeah. So he took the staying out there. So he's listening to waves, and y'all are listening to synth waves. So we've got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. Of course, the main discussion of tonight will be about Walrus Anglers Club, which I'm extremely excited about because I finally got to bring you guys the white paper I've been working on, and I hope everybody likes it. I really try to take a design element to it to make it kind of fancier. And the good news is
it could be its own NFT.
Tomorrow I have a meeting with Dow King for a full marketing blitz on it, and we're looking to mint out in a week or 2 weeks. Not mint out of all of the NFTs, but I'm saying start the mint in 1 to 2 weeks, dependent on when we can get the contracts available for the actual minting with Walrus Share LP. So that's really the only unknown right now. Everything else is really tidied up legally. We're getting close to being finalized legally. And of course, the white paper is drafted. So realistically, there is nothing left other than the minting contract and marketing. So yeah, I want 5 to 10 videos about it. The good thing about NFT projects, they're not like Tomb Forks. I'm okay with marketing the hell out of them, and really bring people back some exposure to Walrus Share and the asset. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited to bring some of that back into the community. Most Discords right now in DeFi are completely dead. Owen said it's because everyone's portfolio went to zero. And I sadly believe that to be true, which sucks.
I believe that also.
It sucks, but I know that there's going to be less. So hopefully in the next 4 to 5 months, we see a pickup in chat. But I do know when prices are down, of course, people are less likely to invest their time in if they're not making money, right? When everybody was making money, we had hundreds of people in here.
Everyone's out here just trying to grind for an Omega watch.
That's
you
right.
know?
That's right. So also with that information, I did bring Wonderful Destruction onto an advisory team. He's volunteered for it. So bless him. He's extremely knowledgeable. He owns mining rigs. He's been doing it for quite some time. He's a really good member of the community that's been with us for quite some time. So again, I really appreciate you, Wonderful Destruction. It means a lot that you're committing some time to help us out. And I feel really confident.
He'd never admit it, but he's also my best friend.
True that. And I also have C17 coming up to answer some more dedicated questions about the miners. He does have a lot of experience with them as well. And I wanted you all to be able to speak with him before you made an investment into the protocol. So I wanted you all to get the feeling of him as well. I don't like to work with a lot of people, and when I do trust somebody, there's usually a reason. So yeah, that's kind of what we're going to be talking about. Hopefully everybody did like that white paper. I do need praise for it because I spent a fair bit amount of time on it. So hit me up.
It could be its own NFT. I mean, it's that professional.
Hit me the fuck up and say that you love it. But yeah, so a lot to talk about with the miners. C17's already been working. He already has some pictures of the lease place. He also has pictures of some of the ASIC miners that he already currently owns. He's done a lot already, just kind of laying the framework down without even like formal commitment from me. So it's been really nice with him also giving me that trust that he knew that I was going to be committing to this. So it's been good so far. And really, I wanted to talk about the vast majority of this ecosystem and what I see it, right? So Frozen Walrus at its core is a Synorge model, right? And a Synorge model means that when the prices are really good, when the prices are overinflated, over that dollar mark that Walrus is, right? You see profits through the Walrus Share. And that's by staking it. That's what a Synorge model is. It's not supposed to always be printing. It's only supposed to print when we're overpriced. And I want revenue models in place with Frozen Walrus being the main majority funded there, right? And all of these products, Glacier, these miners, whatever else we're able to produce in that time, they're all bringing revenue back into Frozen Walrus. We're able to develop, invest, buy and burn, whatever it is. And whenever we have good months, it's not just good months with Frozen Walrus, the Synorge protocol, right? It's good months with maybe Glacier had a really good month. Maybe the miners had a really good month. Cadena went up in price, right? Then, we benefit from that as a protocol, and it benefits our prices, and therefore you are able to share in that Synorge of the Walrus share being staked. And that's how I see this, right? The core model is Frozen Walrus, but all of these products that are standalone and do great by themselves, there is this synergy between them that allows core users of Frozen Walrus to benefit greatly for accumulating these tokens. And that's how I see it. Doesn't mean it's going to work out, but that is where my head's at in development. And I know that I've made a lot of pivots. I know that I've had to change a lot of things, and I get that, right? I get that people are like, "What's going on here?"
You're impulsive.
Yeah, and I understand that feeling. And honestly, it's because, all of these things started shifting so fast. By the time I made one decision that I was very confident on, 3 more came to light that was a better decision. And it feels like my job sometimes is to make sure that I'm giving you all the best available. And if I'm not able to pivot in that regard, then I'm not doing my job right. Right. And I do it to a fault, like where I try and take care of the investors in my protocol to a fault, where it harms us. Right. That there's been several times that Owens had to tell me, like, "Hey, look, I know you're looking out for investors, but like, there'll be nothing to invest in if you're not careful here." And that's a good realization to have, and that's why I love having Owen on the team as well. But regardless, I just wanted I wanted that preachy moment to kind of speak about, I understand the prices are down. I understand there's a lot of red everywhere in the market, but specifically why I feel like, we're pivoting into a space where we're developing outside of the Tomb Fork that benefits the Tomb Fork at the end of the day. And everything won't work out exactly as planned, but if everything goes even halfway right, then the model should work appropriately. And, we might have tokenomic structure changes within Frozen Walrus. Whatever I can find to give us an edge in the market, that's what I'm trying to do. So, yeah, that is what I wanted to start out with. I am going to bring C17 up to introduce himself and start answering some of these questions, and we can answer them together and kind of run through them. So let me invite him to speak. Should be getting the accept button. And
Excited. I'm gonna go ahead and mute Walter though.
Yeah, mute Walter. It's not just us talking here. We've got C17. Welcome to the stage, man. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the Frozen Walrus community.
Thanks, mate. Can you hear me?
Perfect, man.
Great. I'm actually in the car because, as a fellow parent, you know that you only have 2 sanctuaries when you've got kids. You've got the car as an office, and you have the bathroom.
Yeah, that's exactly true.
So here I am in the car.
I understand that.
So a little bit about me. My sort of background is in the technology space. I worked for Oracle for 5 years, and at the end of the tenure there, there was a severance package, and it was sort of February of last year, and I had the option of taking on further work or trying something else, and it was sort of at the end of a 6-hour interview with Amazon Web Services that I decided, shit, man, I'm going to try something else because I just can't take this corporate lifestyle anymore. So, with everything to my name, I went out and bought, I think it was like 50 graphics cards. And can you still hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Cool. Yeah, and I set up all these mining rigs in the house, and much to the disgust of the wife, we had our wedding coming up in a couple of months and our honeymoon. And she was freaking out and I was freaking out, and we had, 50 graphics cards around the house, and we were mining Ethereum. And I was thinking to myself, shit, what have I done? But as the paychecks rolled in and I realized that this was a viable revenue stream, I was like, okay, let's make this work. And I spun out a business supplying mining ASICs and GPU rigs around the country. And, in the matter of about 3 months, we became the de facto supplier in the country, and we sold, millions of dollars of equipment, and we became a brand name here. And, fast forward 12 months, or rather, fast forward, I suppose, 6 months from there, I discovered great finance, and through that, Frozen Walrus, and I've been a degen ever since. And moving on to what we're trying to do here, it's sort of a dream I've had of starting an NFT project with crypto mining as a backing. And I've thought about starting it myself multiple times, but when I saw that Austin was keen on maybe doing a collaborative effort, I was more than willing to work with him, because he's really proven in the DeFi space in terms of both commitment to the community and trust. And that's sort of the values I hold dear as well. And so I wanted this project to be a success for all of us, and that's where we're here today. And yeah, that's sort of a long introduction, but
no, man, that was really good. I think that really covers your intro. And again,
that's perfect.
We can say C17, but I'd like you to let everybody know your name too, if you're okay with it.
Full name and social security
not
number.
Your full name, not your full name, just your first name.
I'm actually doxed fully with Austin, so
yeah, he is.
I'm not able. He knows that what I've said isn't bullshit.
Yeah, hopefully. No, I actually do know what he's saying is I did verify some information, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah, so my name is Sean, and just call me Sean or C17, and
perfect.
Yeah, cool, man. Happy to talk to anyone.
All right, so we're gonna run through some of these questions. I may know some of them more than you, so cut me off if you feel like you can speak better about it. But we do have some questions. So
spent pretty much the entire Ask Me Anything formatting this Ask Me Anything for the notepad for the recap. So I'm going to start. I'm going to cut you off, Austin.
Sweet.
Minnesota Richard wants to know, what is the electric rate and what will we be paying in New Zealand?
Yeah, so we're negotiating with several power providers at the moment to get the best rate possible. There are several factors that work really well for power in New Zealand. We're not the cheapest, but we are 100% hydro. So, we are more hydro than hydro whales, effectively, I reckon. So it's 100% renewable energy, and that does come at a cost. So on average, we'll be paying between 10 and 11 US cents per kilowatt hour. And that is sort of in the middle range. And as we scale, we may be able to lower that cost. But for now, that is sort of the fixed price we can expect. The one thing I do need to mention is that US dollars, if you look at the exchange between Kiwi currency and US dollars, you'll see that American dollars is dominating Forex at the moment. And one US is buying more. So effectively, that means investment from your end is buying a hell of a lot more here, both in terms of power cost and all the operational expenses. You've got that extremely good buying power in country here. I'd argue that some of the things are half the price that you'd pay to set this up in the States.
Very nice, very nice. Let's see here.
Keep going, Dylan, because I'm
Next
trying to
question.
These AirPods.
Yeah, you're good. Wait, you bought AirPods?
No, I'm using Natalie's. My daughter.
That makes more sense. Ciola wants to know, will there be any other use cases for NFTs, or will they strictly be for access share to the mining pools? That's a good question. Austin, I want you to take over that because we had talked about this earlier this week.
Yeah. So the question was, are they going to have other utilities, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So right now, like, the great thing about this model and the great thing of why I push for it so hard is it's really hands off for Frozen Walrus. We're not committing any assets to it. We're not committing manpower to it in terms of like things that we'd have to pay or community members that we'd have to pay, other than of course C17. And so it's really hands off, and we're able to rake in that revenue. And that's really what drew me to it, and why I think it's like a really special thing for a Tomb Fork to launch, and why I think they're so they work so well together, right? And so right now I'm not committing to any other utilities, but my plan is to utilize them in more ways than current. But to what extent is not fleshed out yet, and I don't want to commit to anything. So yes, it is something I'm looking at though.
Because you guys have to remember, the original purpose of these NFTs were for a gamify situation where we wanted to game with these NFTs, but they were just sitting waiting on a partnership. So it would be a shame if we didn't use them at some point for something else, right? Do you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. And the way that the game file is going to work is it was going to have other tokenomics involved in it, and the partnership was massive. And I really loved that team that we were going to work with, and it was nothing against them at all. And
we could eventually do another set of NFTs for that, or we could repurpose these as well as, you have your mining utilities, and then we could have a gamify aspect.
Yeah, and so like it's not completely off the table. I'm not trying to say that. It's just that this was a very lucrative opportunity for us to. So I'll be honest. What really comes from this using Walrus Share LP is essentially a reset to emissions. The protocol itself, Frozen Walrus, will own a very large majority of the Walrus share in the float, right? We'll own a very big portion of it. So that means that we get a say in resetting the LP when we migrate. We get a say in the current price structure, because obviously that we're not going to be selling Walrus share as a treasury to that extent. So we really get to control most of the emissions that have already happened. And if Walrus share gets into what we would call like kind of like a short squeeze scenario where there's not much supply, but people are trying to buy it, to buy these NFTs or to use them in whichever protocol, Glacier, whatever else, you could see that there's going to be a bottleneck of supply versus supply in the LP versus how much you're going to have to buy. So it could really drastically increase those prices and thus increase the APRs and really give a good reset to emissions. Now, it doesn't mean that it's a fix all, but us owning our own emissions, us owning a large portion of Frozen Walrus really resets us. And then when we reset, what happens? Now we have actual revenue. Now we have actual utility. Now we have real things rolling in, a bigger team, and a lot to go on it. So in my opinion, it's a really big step towards the protocol resetting in a fashion that actually comes out jam-packed, and we can be more in line with some of the utilities that we're rolling out.
And I've said this in the past, the Tomb Fork model, everybody says, well, maybe if Tomb Forks would get utility, they'd be more successful. I feel like a Tomb Fork at this point is more of a venture capital stage. And if you enjoy the team, you like the team, if you appreciate what's going on behind the scenes, like we've strived so hard to do to show you guys everything going on, you can look at it as a venture capital for now we get to pivot. Now we get to look at different revenue models, talk to you guys about what we want to do to bring money in. So I don't like that people are going to ape into Tomb Forks every time. It's just one of those things in DeFi. It's a staple. So now we get to be benefited from the fact that we were so successful early on, that we might be on a rocky road right now, but it's going to be smooth sailing once we get the work done. That's just how I feel about it. Ciola also wants to know, can they be used as a profile picture for any of the planned mini games or you?
You might have to say it again because I just connected these AirPods. Yeah, I mean, hold on, they bugged out again. Ask it for a third time. Yeah, I mean that would be in line with like some of the utilities that we were speaking about, right? That's one of those things that will have to be discussed, like if we can find a way to make it work. Yeah, so that was one of the things that me and Sean had talked about a lot, is that, and that's why we put it in our white paper. We're not going to narrow down to strictly Kadena, because what's going to happen, and what we've realized once this ant miner came out that's 4 times more efficient than the current offered market, is that our projections are going to be a little bit off because the difficulty is obviously going to go up much faster now. So we can buy ASIC miners. And again, ASIC miners, from what Sean has let me know, is that they're kind of dedicated to the application you set them for. So if you buy a Bitcoin ASIC miner, it's kind of for Bitcoin. So we can move to other things as we open up new farms. Now, obviously, it comes whenever we get there. Throughout the entire mint, we should be able to own roughly 2 to 3 farms, which would be like 18 ASIC miners of the type that we were getting. But with that, what I'm trying to say is that we can buy many different types, so Litecoin, Bitcoin, whatever. We don't have to be straight Kadena. And also, we do have a community fund, and I do want to buy validator nodes for extra revenue for NFT holders. I think that's a really cool feature, and it's one of the reasons that I put it in there, is so that we're not just mining, but we're also doing proof of stake. So it's a bit of both, and make it this dynamic thing where we're looking for the most the most optimization we can to get the most profit out of it. So whatever we have to do to make it. So that's why we call it a basket hash rate. And that's a term that I won't take credit for. Sean has said it, and so I've put it in the white paper. But that's kind of what these NFTs are: is you're buying a basket hash rate. It's not dedicated to only Kadena, just that is what we are focusing on at the start. And as we expand, then we will open our doors to different types of validators as well.
For better or for worse, they've made their bed with Kadena, and some of the problems with that ecosystem are that the network hash rate is very immature, and it's a largely unproven technology. So there's higher risk around it in terms of the hash rate increasing exponentially, and if that happens, the rewards drop too fast for us to really make a lot of money. So we just need to balance what we buy, when we buy it, and get it for the right price to make sure that we're doing right by investors. So the bombshell is the KA3 from Antminer. It is 4 times more efficient. It's 3.5 times more expensive than the highest end gold shell. So it's a significant investment, and therefore it does expose us to some risk. But I still want Kadena in there because it literally is a moon bag, and we're all degens, so we want some of that. And we want that upside potential that it gives us, which is, according to the last bull run, at least a 10x. Whereas if we settle in with something stable like Litecoin only, which I still want to do, then the upside potential is limited, but the revenue is fairly stable. So, and this may be something we put down to a community vote, or we discuss internally. But we just need to make sure we're hedged against volatility, and risk, and at the same time making sure that we can ride that bull run up on Kadena. But yeah, like if we were to go all in on one ecosystem, if that ecosystem catastrophically fails, the NFTs effectively don't return anything. So I think a balanced approach is good.
Good answer. What's next, Dylan?
Fantastic. This is exactly what we used to have on the AMAs. Austin, you were by yourself last week. Well, I mean, I was still here, but you were by yourself on the stage besides me. It was kind of boring. This is a much more engaged AMA. We've
This
got a lot
fucking
of
guy.
questions.
Get the fuck out of here. I've been
Chinkle
doing
fixed
Ask
it.
Me Anythings for 6 months now, motherfucker. By myself.
Yes, or last week's was boring.
I
You only
know.
brought in 39 people, man. Look,
I know, and I
you're
cried
more
about
engaged.
it.
You got more people this week. You got, C17. Sean is here. Now there's 66 people. People want to hear what he has to say clearly because they're tired of you talking.
I know, man.
I have a shit ton of questions from Chinkle Fixed It. He
Go
wants
ahead.
to know, what exactly are we going to be entitled to with the NFT?
Yeah, so 75% of the reward that we get for mining, or whatever the community fund is invested in, all of the profits, 75% of that goes entirely to each NFT holder, evenly split, right? So there's no rarity difference in like how much you get or anything. It's evenly split across 10,000 NFTs. So if we make $10,000 that month and you all choose not to compound but to claim, each person gets $1. So
Gets $1.
but there is a standard. We are going to do 6 months of compounding at the beginning. And when we say compounding, it doesn't mean that. So with KDA specifically, there are KDA staking pools. So we will be putting the KDA back into the staking pools during compounding. And if we do get into a position where we have $144,000 worth of KDA, well, then we will sell that and buy more miners, right? So, yeah, that's how we're going to be doing it.
Excellent. Will the NFTs represent a percentage of the farm as a whole, and we get paid like dividends of the farm?
Oh, that sounds like a dicey topic. So exactly how I explained it is exactly how it's going to go.
Do we need to bring the lawyers up?
Well, I just, the disclaimer was written by the lawyer for SEC guidelines. So fuck you guys, you can't get me. No, I'm
It's
kidding.
literally legal advice that says not financial advice.
Yeah. So, I just don't want to speak on like the topics that I don't necessarily understand what gets me into hot water. But realistically, what happens is what we mine goes out evenly split to 10,000 NFTs.
Okay. If not, which model would be adopted for the club for calculating payouts?
Yeah, so eventually we are going to develop a dashboard, which is part of what that development fund is for, is to pay for a dashboard for this specific case, so that we can see what each NFT is able to accrue. And again, there will be a monthly vote whether we compound or claim after the first 6 months. So you have to understand this is a longer term investment, but it does get bigger and bigger as it goes on. So should the NFT values, of course, hypothetically. But that's kind of how it is that you'll see how much you're producing for one NFT. Now we actually price these NFTs quite drastically lower than what the rest of the market uses. Most of the market that is doing these are starting at like 250 to 300, and they ramp all the way up to like 450 or something. We went with 100 all the way up to 200, just so that we can make sure that we can soak up as much Walrus share supply. So we are starting lower, but your risk is obviously much lower as well. So we're doing a smaller scale, but I think that it's the most realistic approach for our current community and anybody else that wants to get involved. I'm no on-chain. That's correct.
You're no on-chain.
That's correct.
You're not on-chain.
I'm not
Who do you think
on-chain.
you are?
I'm not on-chain. I'm sorry.
Would you be able to break it down in numbers and percentages?
As far as like total profit, yeah.
I assume so.
Well, that'll be that'll be completely based on like, so obviously we have some models in there that model out like what we should be getting daily. And it should be around with our first 18 KD6 miners. Again, if we do purchase those, if we don't go with the new miners, but regardless, our first farm should produce around $200 worth of KDA at the current value of like $1.52. So you can scale that up as big as you want.
Is that per month, day, year? What?
That's per day.
$200 of Kate.
$200 per day on a first farm, and realistically, if we mint out, we should be close to 3 farms. So you're looking at scaling it up at least 3x. So realistically, it's about 18K a month at the start, and again, we compound that for 6 months. And obviously, that won't be enough for us to get another set of miners, but we can do a ton of other things with that. Obviously, once that's compounded, we can diversify the community fund into much more different DeFi projects, and then also validators.
You're saying compound as much as Owen says float.
Yeah.
We know miners' abilities to mine decay with time. What are the plans in place to counteract that?
C17, you want to take this?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to do rolling upgrades at some stage, but it's not really factored into the roadmap yet. I'm hoping we make the right purchases up front, that we've got some runway in terms of not having to swap out hardware so early. But it is a rolling upgrade game, right? New efficiency comes in, and we want to move to those eventually, but we also want to ROI. So we just have to balance our projections versus what we spend. And that's something we can put to community vote, or maybe we have some kind of mechanism around that as to when we do it. But I think what's most cost effective is building out farm capacity for now, and build out up to 3, and then we leverage maybe a mining host provider if need be, if it's cost effective, if we need to go beyond that. But for the foreseeable future, we've got everything we need up front, and we'll look at that later.
Perfect.
All right. Let's go on to the next one. This is all still Chinkle Fix It, by the way.
Yeah, I knew he had a loaded question there.
He did. How are we going to get paid once Productions is on? Would we have a choice?
Yeah, so I'd spoken about it before. We'll do 6 months of compounding back in. And then once we do the 6 months of compounding back in, we will take that and we'll start doing, monthly votes. And during the bear market, hopefully most majority of people would be voting for a compound, so that when it does become a bear, we have a very large amount of KDA or of new miners or whatever else. Because even, Wonderful Destruction and Sean have both told me that these miners go for a significant price increase during bull runs. So buying them in these bears and pivoting us in this direction now seems like one of the most lucrative things we can do. So yeah, that's how it's going to go. So after 6 months, then we'll start debating, and then we'll do monthly distributions if people choose to claim.
All right.
And just on that, just to give people perspective on how much more they can cost, they go up 4 to 5 to 10 times more during a bull. So buying now is how you make your money, and accumulating and compounding and walking into a bull. We all know that, and we just got to zoom out a little bit, I suppose, and not focus on the day in, day out profitability. And hopefully the community wants to compound and hold.
Yeah, I agree. I hope they do.
Awesome. Once payouts are on, will holders have a choice to compound, reinvest in the project to expand, or something similar? We've already answered that, so that's going to be a yes. Is there an ETA on mining start and payout?
Yeah, I think we've already kind of touched on that. It's the 6 month, and then after 6 months, it's completely based on community votes for what we do next with that money.
All right. Flood us with projections and numbers, my man, C17. I trust you, and I'll be buying into it anyway, but I just want to plan ahead. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, Sean, do you want to speak about some of the numbers you got?
Yeah, I mean, like, our projections had a doubling of difficulty on Kadena every 12 months, but I think that projection is up in the air now with the new Ant miner. I think Litecoin seems to increase in difficulty about 60% every year, so that could be a good hedge. We just have to be wary of difficulty increase because, as you guys know, like the math is simple. If it doubles in difficulty, your rewards are halved and our efficiency is halved. So we just have to be careful around that, and that's why Kadena is going to be a part of the mining, but it's not going to be the only thing we mine.
Dylan's there. You go. Okay.
Shut up, Austin. I hit the wrong button. Let's see here. I think that handles Chinkle's questions. Get this. All right. Next is Rad Dad Kittaloo, who we always appreciate. He wants to know, will the NFTs have different fees and or will some pay out more than others? No. Initially, the NFTs we purchased would have rarities to them, but for this project now with the mining aspect, we are not doing rarities. If you purchase an NFT, it will pay out the same, correct?
Yeah, but the actual rarities for collectors, there will be rarities, and I have the rarity chart. It just won't affect your like bottom line. It just makes it easier, contract wise. So it's just like a baseline of, there will be rarities and there will be more rare. Like the Yeti one is more rare, the zombie one is more rare. Then there's ultras and stuff like that, and they do have traits and values and percentages that I will release shortly after we mint out. And that'll be how it goes. But I think it's kind of cool beforehand not to release that information so that people are kind of just like, kind of looking at everybody else's and being like, well, this one looks more rare, and they kind of build their own notoriety.
There we go. So it's rarities for fun, like Brad Dad just said.
Yeah, for sure.
And do you think, like, just a question, man, for the team is, do we think that like the open market and the pricing for NFTs could appreciate based on rarity? There is a secondary component of this project where the NFTs themselves have they may have an ROI in and of themselves if you want to trade them for profit.
Yeah, and I think that these NFTs really do have the capabilities of pulling in that kind of value, because the NFTs actually really do look good for what's on the market currently. I actually strongly believe that these NFTs do look really well. I think they have a good aesthetic to them, and I think that I think people are going to want to hold them, or that it looks like a good looking NFT. It's not some stick figure. We paid top dollar for an amazing artist over at Hydro Wells to create them, and so I'm interested to see how the rarities play into it for collectors.
I agree. I've seen all the NFTs, and I love them. And Austin actually added my NFT to the white paper because I specifically requested a straw hat on the NFTs. So I don't know how rare that is. I don't know what he decided on rarity level for that, but I'm getting a straw hat, Walrus, 100%. Will the price of NFTs go up in each round?
Yes. It's on the white paper. It goes up from 100, 125, 150, and then 200 for the last phase.
All right. So the initial plan is to use the NFT funds for mining. Will we use the mine coins profits to build up more miners, or diversify in other projects to build more value to pay out NFT holders?
Yep, exactly. So 75% does go back into compounding back for mining rewards or to pay back holders. 25% or 20%, I'm sorry, goes into a community wallet where we'll try and invest into different avenues of DeFi, whether it be validator nodes, whether it be like new DeFi projects that the project that we bring up and try and invest in to secure even, more opportunities for return of investment on these NFTs.
All right. Let's see here. What is the hold period before the NFTs start paying out? 6 months, correct?
Yep, minimum 6 months, and then there will be a community vote.
What is the projected mine rate for the initial set of mines we will have, and what does that equate to in dollar values?
Yeah, so one farm should produce about $200 a day. And one farm consists of currently how we have it structured 18 KD6 miners if we went with Kadena route. And that is with the current valuation of $1.52 on Kadena. And I think we are nearing the bottom. So hopefully, most people are projecting, in the next couple of years that KDA hits, $4 to $8. So that's pretty. I don't think that's unrealistic.
That's 4x.
Yeah, so that is technically a 4x, and that's not me saying it's gonna happen, but I'm saying I've seen it on multiple projections, so there is some merit to it.
All right.
I didn't want to address this one. I just saw it pop up. Just so we're clear, the miners have no effect on the price of the actual protocol. Altogether, it would cost $1.4 million worth of Walrus share LP, half of that being around $700,000 worth of Walrus share that has to be bought or used in this protocol to mint out these NFTs. So realistically, it should drive up the price. Yes.
All right, hold on. Let me add a couple of reactions to that. That was a great question, .hack waifu hunter. I'm just gonna add a couple of reactions to that.
And also, there's 4%. There's a 6% royalty. 2% goes back directly to buy back and burn Walrus, and then also the other 4% goes as revenue for the Treasury. And that's obviously, it could be big some months, down some months, whatever it is. The performance of the NFTs themselves probably will correlate with the volume of it being traded. So,
okay. The next one is, how will mining profits be split between Treasury and NFT holders?
Yeah, so I think most of these people type these questions before the white paper.
Before the white paper, yeah.
But I don't mind answering it. Like I said, 75% will go back as mining rewards. 20% will go into a community fund wallet to buy other protocols, validator nodes, whatever we want to use it for, and then 5% goes for development, which it's quite small. Honestly, I wanted to make this extremely community driven. I had seen, some other protocols take a very large chunk for development, another very large chunk for the community wallet, and a lesser chunk for the mining profits. But I wanted, you all to secure most of the profits from this.
Sorry. All right. The next question is, are we looking at a life cycle and buying new ones, or diversifying out of miners at some point with other investments?
Are they saying with those mining profits, like investing into other protocols and stuff?
The way it's framed, I think they're looking at like in the future, like the life cycle of the miners.
Yeah, well, I mean, Bitmain make a great product. The lifespan is as long as we treat them well and as long as they're profitable, really. And they do hold some resale value, so that can be fed back into rewards or towards new miners. But yeah, I mean, Bitmain, if we go with the KA3, longevity is not in question. If we go with Gold Shell, yeah, they're less proven, but I own quite a few of them, and they're fairly easy to maintain. The main thing is treating them right, which is keeping them cool-ish. And they're built fairly resilient because they're built for operating conditions up to, running the chipsets up to 95 degrees. So think Texas, think parts of China where they're operating at ambience of over 50 degrees Celsius plus. They're designed for it. So they're very robust. New Zealand's very temperate. We've got summer temperature of a maximum of 30 degrees C. You might need to change that to Fahrenheit so you know what I'm talking about. But because we're temperate here, we're not running into harsh conditions for these things. And, we're going to take good care of them.
Perfect. And I did want to address, somebody else said something about the white paper saying that in one section I talk about Walrus share LP being used, in another section I use dollar value. I think it was worded well, but just to clarify, it's using $100 at that time if we're in phase one, $100 in Walrus share LP. So whatever Walrus share LP is dependent on the market, but we will have it so that you can mint based on $100 worth of it at that given time.
All right, Moosefin, our favorite moose investor.
Also, our only moose investor.
Well, possibly, but he's easily the best if he's the only. He wants to know, with the sudden drop in rig prices due to successful merge, Ethereum, is this plan something we have a potential of seeing a drastic change to? He wants to know if you're going to be impulsive about this.
No, we knew about the merge. The merge has been known for like years. That doesn't do anything. People are looking for new opportunities in mining. In my opinion, here's how I see it. Proof of work is top-notch security. You literally cannot get better security than proof of work. Proof of stake is really energy efficient, right? But proof of work will always be needed to some extent in DeFi, in my opinion. So there will always be holes to fill in that avenue. And I think Kadena is a really good opportunity to fill that hole right now. Now that there's a bunch of people, but you can't use, GPU mining. So all the GPU prices and stuff like that, I don't think it correlates to Kadena and its performance with proof of work.
And just on that, we can always pivot to GPU mining in 3 to 6 months' time if it makes commercial sense to, right? Yeah, at the moment, if you go to whattomine.com and you look at GPU mining profit, it's negative for every coin because Ethereum had 12 petahash of GPUs pointed at it, and no other proof of work GPU mineable coin has the market cap to support that. So there's a lot of GPU mining farms up Shit Creek at the moment, and but that being said, it doesn't mean that they won't be okay in the future, because GPUs do have their advantages and flexibility in what we mine. We can point it at almost anything, but it has to make money. So we're not going to mine at negative 3 cents per hour on Ergo right now because I'm not that big. I'm not that bullish on any one coin. It's about profitability.
Yep. And I think it's a really good mindset to have, and why I really enjoy Sean being on the team is that he's not completely unknown to the fact that Kadena may not perform well. He's not saying that like Kadena is the number one. He's specifically saying Kadena has the biggest growth opportunity, if I'm not mistaken, but by no means are we hard coded to only do Kadena in this aspect. He's looking for he's looking for profitability with these, and he has the means to move around. That's what he did. So it's just, I think it's a really good marriage for Frozen Walrus, and yeah, I'm really excited. Also, GPUs are coming down in price, so I think I'm going to be able to get a high end one pretty soon. Thank God, because I've been waiting for like 5 years for one.
Yeah, nobody cares about your computer. With regards to the prizes and giveaways mentioned in the white paper, unless this is going to be to every holder, would the funds not be better spent on something else as a fair alternative rather than having some people gaining over others in the same community? And I get the incentive to draw in mentors.
Yeah, so I know that was discussed early on in the general chat as well. From my understanding and what I've seen work well in NFT projects is that there needs to be incentive to keep minting, and it just gives an added value to mentors, right? Like, if we get another 100 NFTs minted, then we're getting another $2,000 giveaway. I hold 25 NFTs. I have a really good chance. I'll go ahead and purchase more. It's one of those GameFi scenarios. That's what I was trying to produce with that statement. I don't know how it's unfair for anyone. It feels like if you're minting, then we should be like, we're just giving milestone. Like at 1,000 NFTs, we'll give away $1,000. At 2,000 NFTs, we'll give away $2,000. Something like that is what I was intending for that to look like. I don't know if that was mixed up somewhere, but that's kind of my intention, and I think it's good to give back to people that are currently active in minting and focused on it. So I don't know. I'm down to negotiate how we give out those rewards. I just wanted there to be something for current mentors and for excitement for the next phase, right? I don't want people to get complacent or think that some of this money isn't coming back to them. So that was my thought about it. But I'm cool with restructuring it if someone has like a better mindset on how we could approach the giveaways with that money. All right, Dylan.
All right, next question. Crypto shrink. Are there advantages to owning more than one NFT other than a higher percent of mined crypto?
Nope. You just get a higher allocation. If you own 1,000 NFTs, you get 10% of the mining rewards. It's based on that. I don't think there needs to be more incentive than that. And they also go up in value based on how many miners we have. And then there's only ever going to be 10,000 NFTs. So if we continue to produce more revenue streams for that project, then the intrinsic value of those NFTs hypothetically would go up. So holding more would result in more profit.
And crypto shrink also. Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
I was about to say, didn't we discuss 200 NFTs grant someone a ticket to come see the mining farm?
True,
Austin?
we did. Yeah, so he is opening up the potentially. We're discussing it that he gets a neon sign of the new Walrus Anglers Club logo and allow you guys to kind of tour the facility if you own enough NFTs, which I think is cool. I think that's a really cool thing to open up to, and it'll look really cool. What else we got, Dylan?
I just tagged you in a rather not urgent, but a really good question. Disco Chuck said, instead of USD or whatever being given away, couldn't we give away an NFT that way the USD could be put back into the project?
I mean, I understand that, but technically giving away the NFT is like giving away the value of the NFT anyway. So if I give away 100 NFTs, that's $10,000 worth of it's the same difference. I guess we wouldn't have the same end of line value, but I'm not opposed to that. Maybe a mixture of the two. But I think giving away hard assets for mentors gives a direct incentive for people to mint more, and that's really that's what I'm trying to produce there. There's no other ulterior motive for it.
All right. Well, we need to stake the NFT or just simply hold it when funds are dispersed.
Hold it. It just has to be in your wallet. I'll do an NFT. I'll just do an airdrop based on holders of that NFT, and I'll look at the contract, pull up all the holders at that current time of the snapshot, and then disperse rewards at that given time. And that's exactly how it's going to go.
Okay. And this is a very important question. Might take question of the week. Can I get my NFT personally signed by Lame Hillbilly?
I don't know how we would personally sign it. I mean, I will
get an iPad or something.
I mean, I can try. Sure, I'll sign something.
By God, we're gonna raffle off some signed NFTs. I'm just gonna put yes as the answer. Not So Savvy had another question, more of an idea than a question for the YouTube channel. Could you do a video or view on some KDA miners or miners in general as a guide to how they work, their benefits, pros, cons, etc.? Might draw in some more audience.
Sure, and to that notion, I understand that I haven't made any YouTube videos. I'm sorry, I've been a little burnt out, but I'm getting back in the swing of things, and GDB has graciously offered to do some editing for my videos, and I really, really appreciate that. But so there's going to be more YouTube videos, and if that's a topic that people want to be discussed, of course we can discuss it. I want to be able to produce content that educates you guys. That's what I've always tried to do. So if it's needed, then of course.
Excellent. Oreo77, are you buying new or used miners? Price per unit and amount of units?
I think that's better for Sean. Yeah, we won't be buying used. I don't think. It's bit. Why are they used? What's their history? Have they been run to death, or are they a refurbishment? We'll run new, and I have really good supplier arrangements near cost price on most stuff, so it totally makes sense that we just stick with stuff that hasn't been run into the ground yet.
Yeah, and I also agree with that sentiment, so I'm happy he's also saying it. I don't want used mining equipment realistically.
Okay. Kyle, the Unity dev, is there current kilowatts per hour or hash power calculation or calculator?
Yes, we do have that. I put a brief one in the white paper. It was the skinny version of it. It is beefier on the document that C17 has. I can pull that up actually and just make a screenshot of it. And again, the only thing that would change on this is once these ant miners that are 4 times more efficient were to be mass produced and the difficulty rate go up drastically, would obviously hinder some of the potential difficulty. It would increase the difficulty of the entire network, and then obviously that would cause our end of line to suffer a little bit. Let me find this document. We're close. I'm almost there. You can go on with the next question though.
Next question is from Crypto Gamer, one of my favorite people in this Discord. Are you going to sell the mine coins as you mine them, or keeping them for the bull run?
So that's entirely up to the community for how I see it. You'll be able to vote, and if you compound, then we will stick those coins back into a staking contract on KDA blockchain. If I'm not mistaken, Sean, you can correct me. But that's where they would sit. And yeah, so potentially if we do it for a while, if we even do it for 6 months and we've been compounding, and KDA goes up in price because there's a bull run that started in 6 months, then of course our depending on the price and the difference of the price, that would be kind of like where we would see the profits come into. So realistically, we could do well if KDA goes up into a bull run, but we will be compounding the KDA up until we get into a position where we can purchase a new miner if we haven't distributed the rewards yet.
Awesome.
Yeah, again, my hope is the community compounds through the bear, but it's totally up to you guys and what you want to do with the NFTs and profit taking. But just to put into perspective, we've last bull run KDA hit $27, and our projections have it at $8. And if it hits $8 at a difficulty increase of double every 12 months, the returns are going to be, quite significant for holders. So that's my hope. But again, profit taking is never a bad thing. And if we get many bear run rallies and people want to sell, then that's fine too. But just on the compounding side of the staking contract, it is a single-sided stake, so it's not exposed to downside risk of, say, a DEX token. It is just pure KDA staked for between 6 and sort of think around 60% APR. So again, that'll just improve our position in Kadena holdings, and hopefully we hold through the bear.
And also on that note, like how it's going to be paid for is, say we get $70,000 worth of KDA in that 6 months. I'll show like as a progress of like how close we are to the next miner with those funds. So like if we're at $70,000 and we need $144,000 for our next farm, I'll say, look, we're halfway there. Do you want to keep compounding, or do you want to go ahead and claim all this and we can try again in the next year to get another miner, or through our different means? So it'll be structured in a way that we can say, do you want to compound to try and get us to the miner? This is how far off we are. Or do we want, to go ahead and claim because we feel like KDA is at a good price, or I want profit, whatever else. What else we got?
That was fantastic answers. Edge734, another great investor in this community, always has great questions. Once we have our farms up and running, will there be opportunities to expand and provide mining as a service to other communities?
I don't think it's entirely off the table, but I think me and Sean had discussed the simplicity factor of what we're doing makes it, in my opinion, more marketable, more digestible, and easier to manage for you as an end user, right? There's not a bunch of hoopla about like all these crazy claims, because we are just a mining service. Your NFT is your ticket to a mining service, and it'll grow and expand over the course of X amount of years for as long as we do it. And it'll get bigger and bigger. We don't need to make like bold claims about crazy shit because I feel like the simplicity factor is what really makes it a little bit different.
Yeah, and on that note, I think if we keep it simple and focus on profit and revenue generation, we're not running into costs that some of these other mining projects are doing because we're more than just a mining project. We've got the seigniorage aspect and the decks. And so, we don't need the mining portion to be everything. We don't need it to be creating a game and funding a game and funding all of the stuff that costs money and takes away money from your pocket. It's about maximum returns for you guys. And if mining is all that it achieves in terms of utility, then that's fine by me because it's always going to give you profit. So we don't need to bolt on anything that takes away from that. And at the end of the day, we're all in this for money. Utility is great, and having these lofty ideas of saving the world is great. But my intention is that we control costs, we make this very profitable for investors, and we don't make bold claims that we can't meet. I'm not going to speak to other projects because there are some lofty claims out there in the mining NFT space, and they may meet those, but my opinion is they are very lofty, and as soon as they don't meet those, then they've got problems.
Sure. That's a good point.
All right. Jorbo, we had some long-term guys come in late with some questions that are great. Will the team always take 25% of the profit, or will that scale back once development is done?
Where does it say the team takes 25% of the profit?
I don't know. Is it on the white paper?
It is not.
He probably means like what we're doing with the other 25% because we're using 75%. Go back into the
well,
NFT.
20% goes to a community wallet and 5% goes to a development fund. So the team only really realistically gets 5%, which is
Right.
like baseline. Like if you look at it, it's not much. We're just doing that so that I can fund like future marketing pushes, and then also like if I want to contract a dashboard, and then obviously if there's still some breadcrumbs left, I may take some, so that I can also fund my full-time venture in crypto. But realistically, it'll be peanuts.
All right. Jock.
And just on that,
Yeah, go ahead, Sean. Go ahead.
I've forgotten my arm.
All right, go ahead, Dylan.
All right. So the next one is Jock. What token will the claim be in for the NFTs? Is it Kadena or something else?
So I think Kadena could get complicated if we did it like that because I don't know. I'm almost confident actually. We're going to have to bridge it to Avalanche, and so right now there's a native bridge to Ethereum. I've actually talked to some other Kadena mining clubs, some of the CEOs there, and they feel pretty confident that there will be a native AVAX bridge soon, which is really cool. And I think by the time that we would have to, to give out profits, there will be a native one. But if not, then we'll just have to bridge it to Ethereum, make it stables, bridge it back to Avalanche, and then give that out. So there will be a little bit of a cut there, but it's pretty minimal.
Okay. Next, Crypto Gamer had another good question. Would using mineral oil for cooling save on energy, and does that harm the internal components of the mining?
That'd be another one for Sean for sure. If he's there. Might have to come back to that question if Sean had a
We'll
step
circle
out from,
back. Yeah, we'll circle back. DH winner, what are the dividends going to be paid out in? That kind of comes back to the question we just answered a little bit.
It'll be some L1 asset, unless Kadena is natively on AVAX. In that case, then we will pay in Kadena natively on AVAX.
Disco Chuck had a question earlier, didn't see it. Sorry about that. but he asked it again, and that question is: let's say everything works out really well with the miners, and we start seeing a market top. Can we put it to a vote to sell the miners and cash out before the end of the next bull cycle?
Realistically, I would be open to it if somebody wanted to disband the project because they felt like we got into a bull run and the miners are now worth 3 to 4x, and Sean feels like he can move them because again, that was the industry he worked in before he got into this. So if he feels like he can move them and that's something that he wanted to do, then that would be a discussion we could have for sure.
All right, that is all the questions I have. Besides the mineral question, oh, I saw Sean come back in. Sean, are you available?
Yeah, just on resellability, that I guess that's definitely something we can consider, because if the token appreciates and the miners are generating a lot of money, then they have great resale value to large farms, and that is something we can do. Like if you want to take profit, but it does mean we remove our source of revenue, and I feel that it's something worth riding. But again, happy to discuss that with Austin and co and put it to community, because yeah, we could do that and swing trade miners, so to speak. But there are lock-ins in terms of the lease, and we'll have a facility fully fitted out with cooling, so it makes sense to take advantage and use it. So again, but if the majority want out and that's the way it goes, then definitely it could be a very lucrative position to be in as a holder.
Excellent.
And then what was the last
Sean,
question?
one more question from Crypto Gamer. Would using mineral oil for cooling save on energy, and does that harm the internal components of the miner?
I don't know if he may have backed out again. I don't know what. We're gonna get that question answered, I promise.
That's
Matt,
happening.
what was the question?
The question was, would using mineral oil for cooling save on energy, and does that harm the internal components of the miner?
It can do, but the capital expense to set up exotic cooling like that is something we want to avoid. And some large farms, they do it. In Google data centers, they do it because they want a set operating temperature, and they want low noise. So what you can do with immersion cooling is you can run it and have the radiator outside, and you do away with a lot of the noise. But we're not running into those noise constraints here because we're in an industrial setting. So look, it's going to make our ROI a heck of a lot longer. We're just going to use what comes OEM, which is the fans.
Okay. Austin, this will be more for you. DH Winner wants to know, what about an NFT marketplace if people decide they want to sell?
I mean, we have some NFT marketplaces we're looking at. I'm going to look for some kind of lucrative partnership for the NFT marketplace that we settle on. But I don't think that we will be developing one. And then Steven actually had one that he's bumped again. And I'll ask it. Sean, this is for you. He says, will there be any sort of air cooling filtering for intakes, as in AC during the heat?
Yeah, we don't need AC in New Zealand. We just need a high volume of air movement. So we'll have filters on the intake, passive intake, active exhaust, and it will all be serviceable. So yeah, every couple of months we'll clear the filters and make sure that no pollen and things are getting into the systems, because yeah, you're right. So as long as we keep the room as clean as possible, then these miners stand to at least stand a chance. And yeah, we're not going to have unfiltered intake. Yeah, can't think of anything else. It's a fairly simple setup, but if you have any ideas around what you've seen in the industry, if you've been exposed to, like I know in Texas, right, the dust is a massive problem, and we don't have that here, but I know their intake has to be really filtered. Again, we won't be needing extreme filtration, but we'll have something.
Perfect. And then the last question I see us answering tonight, likely, will there be a schedule to perform checkups for issues, faulty fans or equipment, network troubleshooting, bi-weekly visit for visual inspections, etc.
Yeah, well, we'll know if there's issues with a hash rate drop off and the what do you call them? Anyway, we'll have smarts around downtime, and we'll be able to see remotely hash rate drop offs, so we'll know if there's issues with machines. Firmware will always be up to date. That's easy. Temperatures will be monitored, and maybe some of this information can be filtered through to the dashboard. Because it might be interesting to see, like operating temperature, current hash rate. And if you have the public wallet for the reward pool anyway, you'll be able to see the hash rate via the pool we use. So for Kadena, if we use Pool Flare, you just paste the wallet ID in there, and you'll see all the miners, the uptime, the current hash rate, the current rewards that are being paid out. So it's all on chain. This is not something that is hidden to you guys.
Perfect. And then someone had made a comment.
Partnership with on-chain.
No. Are these machines at your house or at a facility? They are at a facility that we are leasing, DH Winter. And will we be using electricity? Yes. And Stephen, that does sound correct. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to make sure C17 can get back with his family. This is not a normal for him like it is for us. I really appreciate, Sean, that you came up here and you answered all these questions. I think this was a kick-ass Ask Me Anything, and tons of info was given out. And I'm excited that we got the white paper out. I'm excited to make the next steps. And I think that I want to set the expectations now a little bit lower. Don't expect us to start minting out in like days. Most of the time, these most of the time, these projects with different phases and that are mining, they usually take some time, and that's why we're marketing it. So don't expect very fast mint outs, right? It could be some time before we get a mint out. And that's okay. That's why we're going to have incentives. That's why we're going to constantly be preaching about these NFTs and constantly be trying to add value to NFT holders. By no means is it going to mint out in 1 week or 2 weeks even. So just make sure you set your expectations as that going into it, and realize the benefits as a user you are to get these NFTs, and realize the benefits of the ecosystem that it's about to produce for Frozen Walrus. The Treasury will get 10% of the protocol owned revenue protocol owned liquidity that we get from this. And then also with that, we will get all of the Walrus share. All of the Walrus share will go to the Treasury, right? So we potentially have a chance of owning, 75% to 80%, maybe even more, depending on how well the mint goes, of Walrus share after this is done. So it's really, really cool that we get this opportunity. Sean, I can't thank you enough for approaching me with it and working with me through the fine details of getting it done legally. And I'm very happy that you're bringing your experience to help out the Frozen Walrus community. And yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Sean, if you wanted to have any words at the end here, I'm assuming you'll probably be up for some more Ask Me Anythings. I think you spoke very well and answered everyone's questions. So again, thank you. If you have any final words, you can go ahead and let people know.
Yeah, I just want to say, if you have questions, just pop over to WAC sub chat, and Wonderful World is also helping. So, he may have some ideas around what we do, and we can bounce that back and forth. So, yeah, looking forward to getting this rolled out. Everything is lined up at my end to pull the trigger. We're in an amazing facility that is very cost effective, and we'll be able to expand out in the same facility, and it's 7 minutes drive from my house. So in terms of downtime and servicing and all of that, rest assured that's not going to be an issue. And yeah, really looking forward to minting and rollout. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thank you so much for coming up. People, if you haven't seen it, Walrus shares at 1161. If we own 80% of the supply, you can only imagine that it has to do something to the price, even if 10 people mint. It's $100 worth of Walrus share. Actually, that's $1,000 worth of Walrus share minimum, even if 10 people mint. So regardless of what you think about the current prices, look to the future. Look at what we're building. I'm still up here trying. I'm still up here producing weekly Ask Me Anythings, pivoting, trying to make your investment worthwhile. And thank you so much for all of the dedicated investors that are still here in this disgusting market that we're in. And letting me day by day follow my dreams of doing this full time and being a part of it. So I can't thank you guys enough. Thank you for attending the Ask Me Anything. If you have any other questions, of course, always post them. We have plenty of people here to answer them. And yeah, thank you.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. This is on YouTube. I have updated the previous AMA channel to include the document with all the questions in it. Everybody give a big round of applause to C17. Austin, thank you for a great Ask Me Anything, and we will see you guys next week. If you have questions, hit the general chat, hit Frozen chat.
Hold on.
And
we got 2 NFTs to give away.
Oh, yeah. I uploaded the document so you can see usernames who asked questions. So
perfect. Let me look at this real quick. Let's see.
While he's looking at that, I'll just go on and say, help an old lady out this week. Do something nice for someone.
True that. Be positive, guys. Ship prices. Listen, if you're being negative in chat or anywhere in DeFi where there's projects that are actually trying, you need to look inside yourself and do better. Being a shit person can be temporary. Everybody has those days. Everybody makes mistakes. Hannah Montana said it best. And we're just
get the best of both worlds.
Get the best of both worlds. All right, let me look through this. All right, so I am gonna give it to Fix It. Chinkle Fix It. So thank you for asking all those questions. I felt like you really put a lot of effort in. And Dylan, you can give us a random one.
Random name. Give me just a second. I'll click the button. We've got SSJ Ryu. Yes, Sensei.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
I actually had it. He's a really old investor, not like age-wise, but like as far as our protocols. And he actually
older too.
I think he made one of his first DeFi investments in Frozen Walrus, and I had to walk him through it. And he's been a part of it ever since. And I appreciate you being here and trusting me with that, man. So I'm happy that you won. Those 2 NFTs, just send out your wallet address. Obviously, we're not going to give them out until after minting starts. We'll have 2 set beside it, and I'm sure we'll be doing more giveaways for NFTs here shortly. So if you didn't win one, there will be plenty of opportunities. So.
Oh, and it's his birthday. Happy birthday. We love you. This has to be the only day of the year he probably didn't kick somebody's head. So thank you for being here on your birthday, man. You didn't have to do that.
SSJ, happy birthday, man. I hope you have a good one.
All right, guys, we're getting off here. I'm going back to the beach. Love you guys.
All right, peeps. Everybody, enjoy your weekend.